Yes, my people, how on a day? You see your beautiful brother Assam Minze, Africa. Yes, it's about this video here. When I was searching in the internet, I saw this video when Murumba was talking about our leaders. He's talking about Western world leaders, the way they treat us, the way they treat our leaders. So whenever they elect them to office, you will see they started coming. We doesn't go to them to call them to ask them for anything. They are the one that you will see them started coming. Started corrupt our leaders, start giving them a lot of things, money, giving them hope, telling them what to do. All these things, we need to stop it in our continent. They have already seen us finish. They are laughing at us. They are seeing us as if we are nothing. So I am calling attention of my leaders in Africa. We should take care and do the needful thing. There's nothing good they will bring to us. You guys are seeing it. You guys are seeing what is going on. Our Africa, look at what our Africa have turned to. So my people, try to listen to, remember. It's making sense. He's always talking about our Africa. Let us join hand and dress our Africa. Make our Africa to be a better place to live. Let us make this Africa so that all those white people, they will start coming to our continent, they will start working with us here. The work that we used to do in their continent, let them start to do it in our continent. We can do it. We have all mineral resources that can make us to reach to the top. So my people, I am calling attention of this video so that we can do the needful thing. Watch it and share. Like my video, subscribe my video so that people will see it. Share it so that people will see it. People that need to see this video will see it. Thank you so much. Good evening.
We'll elect our governors. We'll have our ministers. That will happen, but they are not bothered. After we have elected them, you'll then see them sending their arrows ahead. You'll see Bill Gates come and meet your president. You'll see Tony Blair come and meet your president. You'll see Macron come and meet your president. You'll see all of them. And then they will never admit, but they'll be told, if you want money in agriculture, behave this way. If you want money in this area, behave this way. They will never tell that to the Chinese. They will never tell that to the Indians. They will never tell that to the Vietnamese. They will never tell that to the Koreans. But in Africa, they tell us. That is why, as I speak to you now, under this new scramble, the IMF and the World Bank are back, telling you who to hire in your universities, what to sell and what not to sell. It is a sad situation. So today, as I look at Africa in that new scramble, the Chinese are here. I hope that this institution was not built by the Chinese. The Turks are here. The British are here. The French are here. The Qataris are here. The Americans are here. This time round, they are so subtle that we don't even recognize them, but they control us. What are we going to do about it in order to develop? We must do something. And if we don't do that thing else, you who have been trained in this institution, you have traveled the world. You have traveled Nigeria. There are two things that you can do with your traveling. You can marvel. Says it is great in China. You can marvel. You can wonder or feel pain. I'm urging you
my
to feel
people,
pain.
how are they?
To feel pain for the continent of Africa,
brother,
and in your own way, when you go out there, go and do something about it, because it has also been demonstrated that
when
it can be done. I've traveled across this continent and I've seen that development is possible.
Lumumba was talking about.
I was in Rwanda before leaders. 1994.
He's talking about Western world
I was
leaders,
in Rwanda in
the way they
1996.
treat our leaders. So whenever they
1 million
elect them to office, you will see them started coming.
Written.
We doesn't go to them
Will
to
never
call them
rise,
to ask them
they
for
said.
anything. They are the
go
one
to
that you will
Rwanda
see
now.
them started coming. Started corrupting.
They are demonstrating that it can be done. Go to Kigali now.
Money, giving them hope.
See what they are
telling them
doing
what
in
to
the
do.
health sector in their
All
own
these
small
things,
way.
we need to stop it.
See how they are collaborating
They
in
have
the
already
area of
seen us
mobile
finish.
telephony.
They are laughing
In
at
their
us.
own small way,
They are
it can be
seeing us
done.
as if we are nothing.
I've been to
So I am
Botswana,
calling attention of
and I've seen
my
what they are
leaders
doing in
Africa.
their own small
We
way.
should take care and do the needful
I've
thing.
been to Mauritius, see
There's
what they are
nothing
doing in
good
their
they
own
will bring
small
to
way.
us. You
And
guys
they
are
do
seeing
not
it.
have the resources
are
that
seeing
other
what is
countries
going on.
have. They do not have
Our
the resources
Africa, look
that
at
the Democratic
what our
Republic
Africa have turned
of Congo
to.
has.
So my
And I'm
people,
giving these examples to say
listen to
that indeed
Lumumba.
it can be done, and
It's
it can be
making
done
sense.
within the continent
He's
of Africa.
always talking about our
So
Africa.
what we must do
Let us
is
join
to
hands
begin to pull
and
together.
bless our Africa. Make
You know,
our Africa to be a better place to live. Let us make this Africa
As
so
I've
that
been
all
sitting
those white people, they will start coming
listening,
to our continent.
I was also struggling
They will start coming to
have
working with
internet
us here. The
in
work
this room.
that we used to do in their continent. Let us
And
start
every
to do
effort
it in
was
our
being
continent.
made to
We can
connect
do
me
it.
to internet.
We have all
And all
mineral
those
resources
efforts failed.
that can make us to reach to the top. So my people,
Why?
I am calling attention of
Because we are in an
this video
era of
so
the
that we can do the
Internet
needful
of Things.
Watch it.
We are in
and
an
share.
era of
like my video, subscribe
nanotechnology.
my video.
It cannot be right
So that
in the
people will
Africa's
see. Share it
largest
so that
economy in
people will see.
Nigeria,
People that
I do
need
not
to
have
see this
internet
video will
at
see
an
it. Thank you
institution
so
that
much.
deals with security.
Good evening.
You get the point that I'm trying to make? It cannot be right. And I know why we don't have internet connectivity. It is because we are divided. We have 55 telephone access codes. Nigeria 234, Ghana 233, Kenya 254, Tanzania 255, Uganda 256, Zambia 260, Zimbabwe 263. How can we, in this day and age, you cross into Benin, you cross into Togo, you cross into Guinea-Bissau, you have a different internet connectivity. Why can't Africa have a single satellite and a single telephone code, so that when I travel from Mogadishu in Somalia to Dhaka in Senegal, like the Chinese do, like the Americans do, like the Indians do, we can have the same, because communication is critical to development. And I'm saying this, part of my agenda is to prick your conscience with live examples, that you may go out there irritated, but irritated to do the right thing. And I'm suggesting that indeed, when we talk about development, this is what we must do. But is Africa conscious of her state? Yes, Africa is conscious. This is what makes me happy. That after all these analysis, it appears to me that Africans have now recognized that going forward, we can only defeat the conspiracies, we can only have development as we are talking about it by working as a team. And that is why, beyond the Millennium Development Goals, beyond the Sustainable Development Goals, we as Africans under the aegis of the African Union do now have our grand vision of Africa Agenda 2063. And that Africa Agenda 2063, let me tell you, if we can fulfill it, many of you here will be upstairs by the year 2063. But our contribution, perhaps you do not know what I mean upstairs, not up. You will be with the Lord himself. But the most important thing is that Africans are now beginning to see beyond the next election. Because part of our problem in Africa has been that we plan in 5-year circles. We don't have a grand agenda, but now we have a grand agenda. And if you look at the 7 pillars of Africa Agenda 2063, everything is covered. Health is covered. Research and science is covered. Climate change is covered. Women's participation is covered. Democracy and governance is covered. The arts and the culture are covered so that Africa can become a serious player in the international agenda. As we speak now, we are not a serious player. You know, and I say this perhaps too often, but I must repeat it because it is important. I was looking at the GDP of Indonesia. The GDP of Indonesia this year, by the end of this year, will be 1.1 trillion United States dollars. Indonesia is the 17th largest economy in the world using all critical indices. It's amongst the G20. The population is about 200 million, just about Nigeria. Nigeria is a GDP give and take at the very best of 550 billion United States dollars. I'm looking at the power generation in Nigeria. At the very best, you generate about 17,000 megawatts. You lose about half of it, so that what goes into the grid is no more than 8,000 to 7,500 megawatts into your GDP. You are the biggest economy in the world. If you look at Iran, Iran generates 75,000 megawatts. So when we talk about industrialization, we are not even close to industrialization. Look at the diversity of power generation that you have. Most of it is hydro. You are not harnessing your solar. The Kainji dams and the other dams with climate change are going to dry. If you look at the major rivers, it means that you are going to be in trouble. You look at Zimbabwe now, for example, in power generation, 2,000 or give it 2,500 megawatts. The dams are drying, the Kariba is drying. So Africa must begin to think, even as we think of Africa Agenda 2063, because energy is the game changer. Without energy, all these generators you see everywhere in Nigeria must disappear for industrialization to come. And in many African countries, including my own country, Kenya, which generates, I think we have about slightly under 3,000 megawatts. You can't. So we must go to Inga Dam, we must begin to generate. We must go to Egypt at the Aswan High. Egypt is not doing very badly. We must go to Inga, produce 40,000 megawatts. We must go to Ethiopia, the Grand Renaissance Dam, produce 10,000 megawatts. Then we talk of industrialization. And why do I talk about industrialization? There are scientists here. It is only through industrialization that we are going to be manufacturers in all sectors. As it is now, 80% of what we consume in manufactured goods are from China. If China closes shop, we are dead. We are dead. So I'm thinking that Africa Agenda 2063 is a good thing, but we must work at it. I'm thinking that Africa Continental Free Trade Area is a good thing. Launched with the Secretariat in Accra, Ghana, a good thing. But how are we going to trade? How are we going to get somebody to drive a truck from Accra, Ghana to Juba or to Asmara in Eritrea without peace and security? So you can also see that peace and security is at the very heart of it. In the United States of America, and many of you are familiar, you can drive a truck from Florida through to Alberta in Canada, and it is safe. The roads are good, the security is there. I'm saying, therefore, that as we talk about development, we must think about development in a very comprehensive manner. We must ask ourselves how we govern. And I want to conclude my presentation to you by telling you that Africa must be very careful. We must be very careful because of lack of resources in Africa. I'm beginning to hear things that worry me. And because I'm a keen student of what is happening in Africa, I'm getting worried on a daily basis. The forces that divide us, the belief by many people in Africa that if we separated from our current countries, we would be better. It is beginning to happen. It is happening here in Nigeria. It is happening. I saw a letter last week addressed to the president of Zambia by a people in Zambia called Baroseland. And they are telling President Hakainde Hichilema that you remember in 1964 we had an agreement with the Lusaka government that the time has now come for Baroseland to become an independent country. Can you believe it? I hear people in Namibia saying, do you remember that there was a strip called the Caprivi Strip? I hear people in Ghana saying that you remember that in the Volta region we had a different country. I hear people in Zimbabwe saying that there should be a country called Mtuakazi. I hear people in South Africa, the South Africans, say that we should have a separate country in the Western Cape. I hear people in Ethiopia saying we should have Tigray and Oromo. The centrifugal forces are there. And the only way to bring them in is to create a sense of belongingness. The people must feel that they are part of it. I remember the words of John Garang of South Sudan when he spoke in Khartoum. He told the Numeri government, we do not want to create a separate state, but make unity attractive. Make unity attractive, make Sudan attractive, make Khartoum attractive, because if you don't make it attractive, we will separate, and that will make us weaker. And I'm saying this because of this thing we call democracy. Democracy demands that people have a sense of belonging and that they believe that the country in which they live represents their interests and that deliberate efforts are being made in that regard. So, fellow Africans, I'm one who believes that this continent has a contribution to make. There is not a continent today that has the natural resources that this continent has. Not one. There is not a continent today that has a population as young as ours, which could be a resource. There is not a continent. There is not a continent today that has the resources in different diverse ways which can be harnessed. With a population of 1.4 billion, we are a potential market. But we must also warn ourselves. I am aware that you are talking about climate change. It is only through unity, therefore, that we can fight all these. Our rivers are drying. Lake Chad has shrunk by nearly 1/3. The rivers are drying. The climate is changing. The Sahara is coming down south. The rivers down are drying or getting polluted. Our farms are not yielding the way they were yielding before. Our seeds are being destroyed. Our young men and women are running away. And remember, the Germans are now saying, we want young people. The Canadians are saying, we want young people. We are in danger. You who have been trained in this institution, now go back to your countries and tell your countries that yes, there is a conspiracy against the continent of Africa, but the human relationship, is it not about conspiracy? Even in families, are there not conspiracies? Is it not our duty to fight and defeat those conspiracies so that that is no longer an excuse? Go out there and say that we have the possibilities and that these possibilities require and demand that we look at Africa as a total whole. Go out there in your little ways and make your contribution. The 78 of you who are graduating here today, I'm suggesting to you that development must start with you. Go back and let in every institution where you are, let it be said that since he came back from NISS, he or she is different. He is different in a positive way. And all of us who are here, whether we are politicians or academics and in different sectors, let us go out there having made a solemn vow that Africa must do it. If you can't do it for yourself, ask yourself which Nigeria you want to bequeath to your children and your children's children. You are here, maximum 40 years, you will have gone upstairs. But after 40 years, in which kind of country will you want your children to be? This is the question. It is not about you and me. It is about them. This is intergenerational. Africa must change, Africa can change, and it can only change if we change our minds. And our minds we must change. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, and God bless.